You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome to Max A. Pooch's Awesome Animal Advocates on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Keith Sanderson, animal advocate, writer, and human companion to Max A. Pooch, champion of animal advocates and the environment. Max and I thank you for being with us, and we dedicate this episode, as we dedicate every episode, to those amazing people who work to save the lives and/or improve conditions of companion, domestic, and wild animals. Tricia Andrews, founder and president of a company by the name of Givebones, is our awesome animal advocate guest today. Tricia is another one of those inspirational people who saw something that provided an idea, then worked hard to make that idea into a reality. When we return right after these messages, Tricia will share with us what her inspiration was, where she got the idea, and what Givebones, a charitable company, is about. But first, let's hear from those great folks that make Max A. Pooch's Awesome Animal Advocates possible.
We'll be right back, right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Pet Life Radio has doggone fur-flying fantastic deals for our listeners.
Go to PetcoDeals.com and get $6 off your order of $60 or more and up to 40% off hundreds of items at Petco.
PetcoDeals.com.
But that's not all.
Are you talking to me?
Pet Life Radio listeners, try Audible.com now and get your first 30 days of Audible Listener Gold membership plan free. And get a free audiobook. Choose from over 100,000 titles. To get this great deal, go to AudibleDeals.com.
That's AudibleDeals.com.
The new Dyson Animal Vacs are powerful bagless upright vacuums for homes with pets. Air muscle and radio root cyclone technology generates the strongest suction power to powerfully remove dust, dirt, and pet hair from the home or car. Go to DysonDeals.com. DysonDeals.com
To order your Dyson Animal Vac today.
Go to PetSmartDeal.com and save up to 30% on awesome gifts for the pets and pet people in your life. Toys, collars, leashes, PetSmart gift cards, treats,
and more.
Go to PetSmartDeal.com today. PetSmartDeal.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Max A. Pooch's Awesome Animal Advocates. I'm Keith Sanderson, your host, and I welcome Tricia Andrews, one of Max A. Pooch's favorite awesome animal advocates. Thank you for joining us today, Tricia.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you're with a company that's called, you founded a company that's called Givebones, and you call that a charitable company?
Correct.
What is a charitable company?
Well, a charitable company, I just wanted to be clear, with our fans that, we're not a charity, but we are set up that we have a give back model. So we call ourselves a charitable company because with every sale, we do give back a portion to help local shelters and rescue groups.
Well, that's interesting. I wanted to get someone on who was with something other than a not-for-profit company, because I think there are a lot of social entrepreneurs who work for companies that make profits, and that's not always bad. What's your view on that, Tricia?
I really agree with that. I think that charities are really reliant on donations, and, given the economy and how it is right now, you can't always rely on that. So we're going to be a lot more sustainable if we do have a business. And I just think that this is the way that things are going with social entrepreneurship, that a lot of companies can fit this into their model. And it's actually a really successful one if you look at, companies that have sort of started this, like Tom's Shoes, where, they find a way to give back with everything they sell.
Well, that's great. And since we're talking about Givebones, what's your mission?
Well, ultimately, the goal is to generate awareness and financial support in hopes of reducing the amount of homeless dogs that are euthanized every year.
Well, that's certainly a notable idea because there are just millions of dogs that are homeless. What sparked the idea for starting Givebones, Tricia?
Well, I was mentioning Tom's Shoes. Are you familiar with them, where for every pair of shoes they sell, they give one to a child in need?
Can you explain that a little more for our audience?
Yeah, it's a really interesting company. For every pair of shoes they sell, they give an equal pair to a child in need. It started in Argentina, and the founder, his name is Blake Mycoskie. He wrote a book called Start Something That Matters, and it's just a really inspiring story, and it has people do basically what he did and find a way to give back and do business at the same time. My husband and I have a huge love for dogs and rescuing dogs, so we wanted to do just that, and that's pretty much exactly where Givebones came from.
What about the name? That seems a little bit different than one would think. Givebones?
Well, Bones is actually, my husband works for Tom's Shoes, and he was on a giving trip in Nicaragua. And while he was giving shoes to kids and, he had fallen in love with them, he really noticed the homeless dogs that were there. And there was one in particular, and his name was Bones. So when he had come back from his giving trip, this is when the idea had started for Givebones, and we wanted to sort of pay tribute to the dog that started it all. And we wanted to also implement Give into it. So this is dedicated to Bones.
To Bones, a dog all the way down in Nicaragua. That's
correct.
Pretty amazing. And that's one of the things that happens, I guess, is that ideas strike us from anywhere. And February was National Pet Owners Responsibility Month, and you hooked up with the incredible Dr. Pohl of National Geographic Wild to raise awareness of spay-neuter of cats and dogs. How'd that go?
It went really well, raised a lot of awareness. We ran, a Twitter contest where we encouraged people to send in pictures of their dogs, and we had a huge response, I think largely in part to the incredible Dr. Pohl, because he's such a huge proponent of animals, and he has such a great following. And I just think it was really successful, and I love what he does in creating awareness for spay and neutering cats and dogs. And I thought it was really great because ultimately, we have the same mission, is that we're trying to create awareness and, reduce the amount of euthanized animals.
I don't think it can be repeated enough about the importance of spay and neuter, particularly in perhaps certain parts of the country where so many of our homeless dogs fill the shelters. Now, how do you earn money? I mean, where's your cash flow come from that you give to charities?
I guess, we haven't really mentioned it yet, but Givebones, we designed a collar, and for every dog collar we sell, we give a straight 10% to one of our featured shelters of the month.
Okay, so you give 10% of gross sales, not net profit?
Yep, it's of gross sales. So our collars, they retail at $14.99, so for everyone, we're giving approximately $1.50 straight into the hands of shelters.
We have a lot of shelter people who listen to us. If I were one of those people, how would I get involved in this program?
Definitely email me. You can email us at Givebones. My email is Tricia, Tricia, @givebones.com. We're constantly looking for new shelter partners. Our goal is to ultimately have a nationwide footprint, and we're in about 5 or 6 states right now. But we've been finding them just by people reaching out to us on Twitter and Facebook, and they recommend certain shelters, and then we just go and approach them. And if they're interested in partnering with us, then we bring them on board. And all we're looking to do is to find those shelters that need a little bit of help, which I know that there are a ton out there.
Is that what you're looking for, the ones that maybe are starting up or struggling because of the onslaught of animals that they have to care for?
We haven't really, I guess, defined the shelters that we're looking for. I know so many need help, but it is really neat when you can see where, a small amount of money given to a shelter really makes a huge difference, just because it is the lack of funding that really kind of, hurts the shelters. So any amount of money going towards them is a huge benefit.
Yeah, I know the shelter that Max comes from and that we work with, they have a wish list, and it's amazing, the things on it. I mean, they even look for newspaper so any cash that comes their way, they can really use it productively.
Yeah, and we only launched last November, so we're just getting up and running, and, we have made monetary donations to a handful of shelters, but we have callers, and that's something that shelters always need. So if there are people out there that's something that they could use, as well, we've been making donations to shelters, across the country of callers as well.
And are you planning on having any additional products, or are you going to stick with collars?
Well, collars initially, but we do want to branch out into leashes. We just wanted to see if the model was working, and we've had a lot of great response, so we know that people, want to buy the product and help something out at the same time. So leashes would be our next step, and then I know we have a lot of cat lovers out there who want to know if we're going to be doing the same thing for cats, and that's sort of in the plans as well.
Well, that'd be great because you're right. People forget that almost every animal at the shelter, they're going to need collars and leashes for them because they usually walk out with them when the new adopter leaves the shelter with their dog.
Exactly.
And with that, we need to break so you can hear from the folks who help bring us Max A. Pooch's Awesome Animal Advocates. And make sure you stay with us because when we return, Tricia will share us the tragedy that affects millions of dogs. And I want to ask her a question about what a girl raised in North Dakota is doing in California. And we'll learn a lot more.
We'll be right back, right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Tim Link, animal communicator and pet expert and host of Animal Rights on Pet Life Radio. Have you ever wanted to know what your pet is really thinking? Do you want to find out if they truly understand what you're trying to tell them? Ever wish you could build a better understanding and closer relationship with your pet? Well, now you can. Learning to communicate with animals is a 4-part on-demand workshop. In the workshop, you'll learn the essential techniques that are necessary to communicate with animals, including what is animal communication, breathing correctly to achieve the perfect state to communicate with your animals at a deeper level, using guided meditation exercises and method to communicate with animals, and how to send and receive information from your animals. So if you're wanting to learn how to communicate and connect with your animals at a deeper level, visit PetLifeRadio.com/workshop and purchase and download Learning to Communicate with Animals. You'll be glad you did.
I Love My Pets, the new single by Mark Winter, available in iTunes.
When you're looking to add a pet into your life, consider adopting a homeless animal from your local shelter or rescue group. Whether you want a kitten, puppy, or a more mature pet, a purebred or a one-of-a-kind mixed breed, even a rabbit or hamster, your shelter has the best selection of animals anywhere, all screened for good health and behavior. PetLifeRadio.com presents Take Me Home with your host, Susan Daffron. Join us each week as we showcase wonderful pets, tell stories, and even throw some pet education into the mix. So get ready to find out why the pet adoption option can be a great way to add a furry companion into your life. Take Me Home every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi, I'm Keith Sanderson, your host, welcoming you back to Max A. Pooch's Awesome Animal Advocates. And our guest is the inspiring Tricia Andrews of Givebones Company. And I want to ask you, how did North Dakota, because I read you're from North Dakota originally, and how'd you end up in California?
Have you been to North Dakota? It is freezing about 8 months out of the year.
Well, my family homesteaded originally in the Dakotas and Nebraska a couple generations ago, and I've been out there to see the original family homestead area in the Dakotas, but never had to spend a winter.
Well, you are lucky. I think we had a record of minus 70, which is 70 of a wind chill in the winter. So there were a couple of days that were pretty brutal. But no, I actually have a background in national TV ad sales and was working for Turner Broadcasting for over 10 years. And I had an opportunity to move out to LA and have the same position that I did. And when I got out here, things just sort of changed. I had met my husband who worked for Tom's. I read the book, Start Something That Matters. And then, I just sort of transitioned my ad sales career into Givebones, which, maintaining business, but finding a way to give back at the same time.
Well, that's pretty cool. It's just a transition. Talking about the dogs, it's tragic. How many dogs a year are put down because they're homeless and there's just no room for them? Do you have an estimate?
Not with dogs specifically. Most of them, lump dogs and cats together, and it's approximately 4 million every year, which obviously is way too many. It just goes back to the point of what we tried to do last month with the incredible Dr. Pohl, and that's to raise awareness for spay and neutering your pets.
4 million, I can't even visualize that. And they end up, essentially, it's a total waste because their poor bodies are, I guess, just end up in a landfill. And
I don't think people want to imagine what happens to all of those pets.
Well, it's very tough, and if you're sensitive, it certainly is something that you want to shut your mind down about. But it's something we need to be aware of because that's one reason why so many people like you are working hard to cut those numbers.
It's truly a case, I think, of every little bit helps. We've just started, and in our short time, we've come across so many other companies or groups that have the similar mission to us. So there are a lot of people out there that are really trying to make a difference.
I'm amazed. I mean, when I started writing my animal advocacy articles, they thought, you'll never have enough to keep writing, enough material. And I could write every day 1 or 2 articles and never even catch up. It's not that there are just so many people, but there's so many inspirational and unique ideas that people do to help. I've written about people who gather cat and dog food and dispense it to those who, in this economy in particular, may not be able to afford to pay for food for their cats or dogs and might have to relinquish them. And all they do is collect, and then they use the services like the Salvation Army to be their distributors, because who knows better than the Salvation Army or other organizations about that. Now, about how many organizations do you partner with, Tricia, right now?
Well, we have 11 partners that are featured on our site. We're continually adding them, and how we're doing it right now is we're featuring one shelter a month, and then we're taking the 10% of our sales from that month, and it's going directly to our featured shelter.
So I guess it behooves the shelters to also let people know about what you're doing in order to help them generate some cash.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all that we've been asking our shelter partners is to, include us on their social media and their newsletters and just talk to us, at their events. With every collar we sell, we also include a Givebones wristband. So, we've been sending them to all of our shelters to have them pass them out to people that come through. It's really just about raising awareness of what we're trying to do. And I just can't think of anything better than, people at the shelter because they're our biggest advocates.
Well, that's good. And do they have to make any other commitment, or is that all they have to do?
That's really all that they have to do. I know it sounds like there should be some sort of catch that we just want to be donating money to them, but we're just really sort of relying on them to help us get the word out because, we're a pretty small team at Givebones. So, the more people we have on the ground for us, the better.
That's truly amazing. And I think it's inspiring when people hear about someone like you who has taken an idea and then run with it, because it's easy to have ideas, but it's really difficult, as you well know, to take them and see some results and continue. And, what advice would you give to someone who wants to make a difference and has an idea, but just doesn't know how to start and maybe feels overwhelmed?
I think the best thing is to find a partner in crime and then just go and do it. It was really amazing the number of people who reached out to me and wanted to help with Givebones. We have advocates in states all across the country, and you just really learn. I mean, people are coming up to me constantly when they've heard, what I'm trying to do, and everybody has an idea. So I think if you just, start and reach out and try to find a couple of like-minded people, you're going to find way more than you ever imagined that want to do something similar to what you did. There are so many people out there that want to be doing something. I just think it takes that little bit of nudge to do it. So if you just get started, you're going to have so much help, you're not going to even know what to do.
Well, that's good advice. And I guess something else is just keep positive and moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's so easy, and, we tried to make it really simple with our collars. If you go on our site, you'll see that they're just the basic nylon collars, and it's what we found that most people were buying. And so we wanted to make it simple, whereas people, they could just make the one decision to buy the product that also gives back.
Well, that's great. Hey, I ask each of my guests this question, and I'm going to ask it of you because I really love the answers people have been giving me. There's some critics, they may ask, with all the human misery in the world, why do you choose to devote time, energy, money, and your passion to advocating for animals?
Well, first, I think that anyone who devotes their time and energy and money to a certain cause is, a pretty incredible person. But for me, there are a couple of reasons why I wanted to focus on animals. And one is that, in most cases, people can communicate and speak for themselves, but dogs really don't have that luxury, so we are their voice. And then another reason is that, like I said earlier, a lack of funding is really the issue with shelters, and, hundreds or thousands of dollars can really mean the difference between life and death. So I love that even, the smallest bit is truly helping.
That's a great answer, and you're certainly right. When you see an abused animal or one who needs help, and unless you look, you don't hear them complain. You have to look in their eyes, and so many people just walk away. And Max is really thankful there's people like you.
I'm very happy to be doing it. It really is a great thing, and I'm not the only one out there. There are tons of people like me. You just haven't probably spoken with them yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to speak to every one of them, that's for sure. We want to make sure that our listeners know where to go on the web if they want to learn more about Givebones.
Yep, our website is www.givebones.com, Givebones.com. And you can find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Okay, and do you ever have any special events or partner with maybe shelters with some kind of special event? Or
we actually have an event coming up. It's part of No Kill LA, and we're one of the sponsors, and that's going to be held on April 2nd in West Hollywood. So we're just trying to, partner with those like-minded organizations. So, again, just trying to generate awareness in reducing the amount of euthanized pets.
I want to urge all the listeners who are in your area in West Hollywood to support your effort. And it's at the shelter, or where is the event going to take place?
It is at Fred Siegel in West Hollywood, and it's to support the No Kill LA movement.
Okay, that's certainly a worthwhile movement to support, and we're almost out of time. And so I want to thank our listeners for spending their valuable time with us. They're all fantastic, and we hope they tell their friends about us. And Tricia, we want to thank you for being with us. And a special thanks to Mark Winter, our co-founder and executive producer of Pet Life Radio. And, of course, our sponsors for making this episode of Max A. Pooch's Awesome Animal Advocates possible. Saying so long, I'm Keith Sanderson, host and creator of Max A. Pooch's Awesome Animal Advocates.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.